Now that we've seen a number of common uses for Gulp, let's dig a bit deeper into how Gulp actually works. In this section, we'll talk more about streams, which is how data flows through Gulp. We'll take a look at the FS module, which lets us interact with the file system. We'll see how to open streams both for input and output, and we'll listen for data from the input stream so that we can write to the output stream. In past videos, we've seen a lot of code that follows the same pattern, where we call gulp.source to read in some files, we pipe those files through a number of transformations, and then we pipe it into gulp.dest to output our final product. Calling gulp.source creates a stream that reads from the file system. But what does that actually mean? Streams are really just objects that fire events. If we write plugins that use streams as their common interface, we're able to create small, modular components that can be wired together in any order we need. We've been doing this with a pipe method in Gulp, but for the sake of learning, we'll interact with events directly in this video. Let's take a look at a concrete example. We're going to read in a file, make all the text in that file uppercase, and write it out to another file. Using the built-in module called FS, which stands for file system, we'll read a file in with a stream. So first, we need to require FS, and then we just call fs.createReadStream and pass it the name of the file that we're going to read, which is this doc.txt over here. We'll also want to create a write stream. So we'll call fs.createWriteStream, and we'll pass it the name of the new file we're going to create, which is doc.uppercase.txt. So now let's listen for some events. When our input stream fires a readable event, that means there's data in the stream waiting to be read. So we can call input.read, which will return a chunk of data in the form of a buffer. We want to turn that buffer into a string, which will allow us to call toUppercase on that string, which is just a method built into JavaScript. To write this uppercase string to our output stream, we'll just pass it into output.write. At some point, the input stream will run out of data, and it'll fire an end event. When that happens, we want to take our output stream and call end on that, which just tells it that we're done writing information to it. So now in our terminal, we can run this file, and if we look back in our text editor, we'll see doc uppercase exists, and the text is all in uppercase, whereas the original document was not. So it looks like it worked. So hopefully we have a better idea of how streams work, but we definitely haven't covered everything. If you want to learn more, I encourage you to check out the Stream Handbook, which you can find here on GitHub. It goes into far more detail and shows you a lot of useful things you can do with streams. So we wrote some code that streams a file from our computer, transforms that file, and outputs the changes to another file. But the code we wrote looks a lot different than what we see in Gulp. Using pipe to connect streams, like we see in Gulp, is really just a more convenient way of wiring up events. But understanding that streams are just objects that fire events will help us in the future. In the next video, we'll look at how to handle errors in Gulp, which mostly involves listening for events.